I found out my girlfriend secretly moved her ex into our home, lied about everything, and let him walk all over me. So, I kicked them both out and reclaimed my peace. I'm 29, and I've been with my girlfriend for 3 years. Things between us were mostly fine, and I thought we had a good thing going. She's 26, confident, funny, and always talked about how important being honest and upfront was to her. She didn't talk much about her past relationships, but she once told me about an ex who was toxic. She said he was manipulative and how leaving him was one of the best decisions she'd ever made. I respected that she could open up about something so personal. A couple of weeks ago, I got home from work, and the apartment was a mess. She was moving around the place like a hurricane, picking things up, tidying stuff, and just generally acting way different than usual. She's not really the type to stress clean or anything, so I asked her, "What's going on?" She stopped for a second and said, "A friend of mine is going through some stuff. He's in town and doesn't have a place to stay. I told him he could crash here for a couple of nights." This was news to me. I didn't know anything about a friend staying over. I asked her, "Who's the friend?" She didn't really give me much of an answer, just said, "Oh, someone I've known for a long time. It's not a big deal." I wasn't exactly thrilled about it. I mean, having a stranger in our apartment isn't something you just drop on someone. But I didn't want to make a big scene, so I said, "Okay, but just a couple of nights, right?" She nodded quickly and said, "Yeah, just a couple of nights." The next morning, I woke up and went into the living room to find some guy stretched out on the couch like he owned the place. He looked super comfortable, way too comfortable for someone who was supposed to be staying for a night or two. When he saw me, he gave me this casual nod, like we were old friends or something, and said, "Hey, you must be girlfriend's boyfriend." I was thrown off. I asked, "Yeah, who are you?" He got up and said, "I'm Mark." He offered his hand for a handshake, and I shook it, but the whole thing felt off. Meanwhile, my girlfriend was sitting on the couch next to him, laughing at something he'd said. The vibe felt weird, but I decided to let it go for the moment. That day, Mark made himself right at home. He walked around like he'd been living there for years, made himself coffee without asking, and even hopped into the shower. Later in the afternoon, I left to run some errands, but when I got back, I found him and my girlfriend moving furniture around in the living room. I stopped in the doorway and said, "What's going on?" My girlfriend looked up at me, smiling like this was the most normal thing in the world. Mark has a good eye for design. We thought the living room could use a refresh. I wasn't having it. I said, "This is my apartment. I don't need a refresh. Put everything back." Mark chuckled under his breath and said, "Guess he's not into change." I ignored him and started moving the furniture back to where it belonged. My girlfriend looked irritated, but I didn't care. It's my place, not his. The next morning, I couldn't find my car keys. I looked everywhere for them, then asked my girlfriend if she knew where they were. She casually said, "Oh, Mark borrowed the car to run an errand. He'll be back soon." I stared at her and said, "He took my car?" Without asking me, she just shrugged and said, "I told him it was fine. He just needed to pick something up." When Mark finally came back, he tossed the keys on the counter and said, "Thanks for the ride, man. Your car's decent, but the brakes feel a little off. You might want to check that out." I looked at him and said, "Don't touch my car again. You don't get to borrow it." He gave me this smug little smirk and said, "Sure thing, boss," in the most condescending tone possible. I didn't bother replying. This guy was pushing every button I had. That evening, I told my girlfriend I wanted us to order takeout and have a quiet night together. She told me, "Actually, Mark and I are going out for dinner. He really needs to talk." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I said, "You're going out with him? What about us?" She waved me off like it wasn't a big deal. "It's just dinner. He needs a friend right now." I didn't argue with her. I stayed home, ate a frozen pizza, and sat there wondering what the hell was going on with my relationship. The next day, things escalated. I was working in my home office when Mark walked in and asked me if he could borrow $500. I stared at him like he was insane and said, "Why are you asking me for money?" He said, "Girlfriend told me you're doing well. I figured you wouldn't mind helping me out." I looked at him and said, "We're not friends and I don't owe you anything. If you're broke, that's your problem." He muttered something under his breath and walked out. I was fuming. That night, I sat my girlfriend down and told her straight up, this guy has to go. He's overstaying his welcome, and he's crossing every boundary. She rolled her eyes and said, you're being dramatic. He's going through a tough time. Can't you be more understanding? I said, this isn't about being understanding. He's treating this place like it's his and doing whatever he wants. He has to leave. She brushed me off again, said I was overreacting, and went to bed without saying much else. I stayed up, trying to figure out how everything had gone so wrong so fast. The next morning, I was cleaning up the living room and found something under the couch cushions. It was an old photo of my girlfriend and Mark, standing close together and smiling. They looked like a couple. The picture was clearly from a few years ago. That's when it hit me. Mark wasn't just some random friend. He was her ex. I walked into the kitchen, where they were sitting and talking, and slammed the photo down on the counter. What is this? I asked. My girlfriend froze. Her face went pale, and she didn't say anything at first. Mark glanced at the photo, then smirked like he thought the whole situation was funny. Well, guess you figured it out, he said casually. I turned to her and said, explain this. She stammered, it's not what it looks like. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd overreact. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Overreact? You let your ex stay in my home, use my stuff, and disrespect me, and you think I'm overreacting? You lied to me. She reached out and grabbed my arm, trying to calm me down. It's not like that anymore, she said. He's just a friend now. He had nowhere to go, and I thought we could help him out. Mark leaned against the counter with that same smug look on his face. Relax, dude. She told me you were cool with it. I turned to him and said, shut up. You've been nothing but disrespectful since you got here. Pack your stuff and get out. My girlfriend started crying. You can't just kick me out. We've been together for 3 years. Don't throw that away. I said, you threw it away when you lied and let this guy treat me like garbage. I'm done. Mark tried to jump in again. Don't be so harsh, man. It's not like I stole her or something. I glared at him and said, you're still here because I'm giving you a chance to leave peacefully. Don't push your luck. He shrugged and walked off to pack his things. My girlfriend kept begging me to reconsider. He's leaving soon anyway, she said. Please, let's just talk this through. I shook my head and said, there's nothing to talk about. You lied to me for weeks. I can't trust you anymore. She started sobbing, pleading with me to give her another chance, but I was done. I grabbed her things and started packing them into bags, putting them by the door. Mark came out of the guest room with his bags, looking annoyed but not saying much. My girlfriend stood there, watching me with tears streaming down her face. I love you, she said. Don't do this. I looked at her and said, if you loved me, you wouldn't have done this. Goodbye. She stood there for a few seconds, like she thought I was going to change my mind. When I didn't, she finally walked out, with Mark following behind her. I closed the door behind them and locked it. For the first time in weeks, the apartment was quiet. It felt strange, but it was also a relief. Over the next few days, I blocked both of them on everything. My phone, social media, anywhere they could contact me. I didn't want to hear from either of them again. I told a few of my close friends about what had happened, and they were just as shocked as I was. A lot of them said the same thing. You dodged a bullet. At first, I wasn't sure if that made me feel better or worse, but over time, I realized they were right. I'm still processing everything that happened, but one thing I know for sure is that I won't let anyone treat me like that again. Trust is everything, and once it's gone, there's no fixing it. I don't know what the future holds, but I'm okay with that. I'd rather be alone than be in a relationship where I'm disrespected and lied to. It's not worth it.